Boom! Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Dr. Sage Wolfe with the International Training Institute of Health, Doc of Detox, and I'm just out in Stuart, Florida, doing the Wolfe Non-Surgical training course. I'll be starting that tomorrow morning, and that'll go for the next 12 days. I'm just hopping on right now to do a Q&A with anybody who has any questions on non-surgical. I had a couple questions come in over the past couple days, so I just kind of wanted to touch on what is non-surgical. So there's like so many different types of modalities out there. There's amazing different types of techniques. Massage, wonderful. Is it going to help me with my ailments? I'm going to be honest, probably not. Will it give you a sense of relief? Will it put you more into a parasympathetic and relax you? Yes. And so everything has its place. Chiropractors, amazing once again. But do you have too much scar tissue built up that you're actually getting pulled out of position constantly? So the main thing is with non-surgical is we go in with our elbow and we focus like for a elongated period of time in a specific area. And what is scar tissue? People are always questioning, like, what is scar tissue? How does this happen? So when I'm working with somebody in general, it's not the problem that you got the injury, that you hurt yourself. And then we'll go into diet in a moment here, but let's just focus on like injuries and causing scar tissue right now. So I was just playing soccer one day and I sprained my ankle kind of. Sure, when you're a kid, you can sprain your ankle and wow, why are the kids healing so fast? Because that is a fresh being, so a lot of stuff in their body is a lot healthier than when we age, and so the healing process takes a little bit longer. But most children, when they injure themselves, like they get a cast, they get a wrap, and they're excited about it personally. Like I remember I broke my arm when I was younger, and it was like, oh, like my friends get to sign my cast. I'm not in a negative state. So I'm more in a parasympathetic state, even though I damaged my body. So my body has to heal that area. So what do? We go in to put so I damage an area, now it's inflamed. So lactic and uric acid is going to come into the area to kind of help put fibrin there and like mend the tissue. Or calcium's going to have to go back to the area to kind of mend the bones back together. So it depends on what happened. Like if I did a muscle tear or if I did a bone break, it's kind of all similar. A lot of fibrin is going to that area to buffer down that inflammation and kind of heal it. And so that's not the problem. The problem is I'm not healthy enough. I'm not talking about me in general. I'm talking about the general population. We're not healthy enough. So our body has to overcompensate. Maybe I don't have the right minerals inside my body. Maybe I don't have the proper nutrients going in. Maybe I'm not really that hydrated. So now I have lactic and uric acid going into the area as well as fibrin. This is healthy connective tissue. So lactic and uric acid comes into the area that I've kind of torn and irritated. That's not the problem. The problem is now that you're debilitated a little bit and you've gotten that injury, you're angry. You're not in a happy parasympathetic state. So I'm in that sympathetic state where it's more fight or flight. And so by having that, hello everybody. And so by having that lactic and uric acid in there, now that I'm not in a parasympathetic state and I'm angry and I'm not putting the proper hydration in. So my muscle tissue is not hydrating properly as it's trying to heal. I'm not getting the proper nutrients. Lactic and uric acid is in there. That's okay, but now I'm angry. I'm not happy. I have to stay at home. I'm not able to go to the gym. I'm not able to do the things that I want to do. So my body's not in that sympathetic state. So what am I doing? I'm releasing hack. And what is hack? Have you ever tried to hack something out? We call it histamine, adrenaline, and cortisol. So when that histamine, adrenaline, and cortisol goes into that area of that lactic and uric acid, it actually binds it and causes it to kind of inflame and turns into like crystallization. And those crystals are going to retract that muscle belly or retract that area or cause excess inflammation to go to the area. And so now that I have lactic and uric acid in there, I'm releasing that histamine and adrenaline into there. I'm binding that lactic and uric acid into crystallization. Sure. And so scar tissue is kind of like the umbrella. So now we have crystallization. And all our bodies have a natural amount of scar tissue and fibrous tissue kind of mending and holding us together. But I don't realize over time I'm losing mobility. But I still think I have the mobility that I have, and I'm doing things that I think I can do, but you shouldn't be doing because the area is damaged. And so you're doing micro tears onto that crystallization in that damaged tissue already, so then you can have a buildup. Do you ever feel like you have like a knot in your neck? So you had crystallization first. It would have felt like kind of like dehydrated beef jerky tissue. And then you tore it over and over multiple times. And now you have like a little mass in there, and it's like not a friend. That friend is irritating and feels like my neck is tight. And I go in here and I feel like there's a ball in there. Now you have a scar tissue mass. We leave that scar tissue mass without paying attention and now without doing any kind of modalities, from like massage to non-surgical to even like taking like a gua sha stone or doing like clapping to the area to bring in that stimulation, to bring in as much blood flow and lymph flow to help heal it. And so now I haven't touched it. I just like tried to kind of cater to it. But by me not activating that area and focusing on like softening the tissue, that scar tissue mass is going to get more and more angry over as time goes on. And once again, I don't have the nutrients inside my body. As we age, we start to lose our minerals. So we don't have enough calcium in our bodies to actually help buffer down that area. So now I'm actually losing bone density to buffer down the inflammation. And that's when we get the calcification, the mass buildups of scar tissue, the very hard stuff like rock. And so while I'm working on that, we can work on it all, but what level are you at? So when you come in and we go to do a non-surgical session, I have to see, is it crystallization? Is it a little bit of adipose tissue? Is it so severe that you're calcified at this point? So that'll kind of give me the gauge of the X amount of treatments that we're going to do. So it really kind of depends. So that's kind of the domino effect of unhealthy healing, how to create dehydration to crystallization to scar tissue to calcification. And so just today, just earlier this morning, I had a client come in. She's been struggling with sciatica for a year and a half, 2 years, on and off, on and off, on and off. And so there's technically like 4 types of sciatica. You can have acute, you can have chronic, you can have bilateral. So that means it actually switches. That one's pretty rare. So then I know you have a lot of damage in that low back. Sciatica is like when my low back feels inflamed, but then you start to feel that pain come down into your glute, butt cheek area, all the way down the back of the leg. So people feel it's like always in the back of their thigh. They're like, that's the problem. No, it started in your low back, because your sciatic nerve actually just kind of right around like the end of your lumbar section, that's where the sciatic nerve jumps out from. And then it comes down through your pelvis, then by your ischial tuberosity, that's that sit bone that you sit on under the butt cheek. And then you have your sciatic nerve that kind of runs through, like right at that sit bone, you have a hole, and that's called your obturator foramen. And so that sciatic nerve that goes through is actually, it can be coming from a little bit of irritation on that sit bone area in your glute, but majority of the time it is the low back. And so it's super funny because I did like her abdomen first, because why are you getting low back pain? Sure, you could have damaged your low back, but we do call it like pooping in your pelvis. You're actually reabsorbing some waste. When your bowels don't move really well and you damage that, it's called peritoneal. That's the lining of your intestinal wall. When that gets damaged, and it's not that you damaged it once, you had a burger, whatever. It's you had a burger today, you had pizza on Thursday, and you've been doing the good and the bad for how many years? You've never really focused on just being good, cleaning that gut out. And so you're going to have waste start to seep through that peritoneal, making the blood kind of toxic. And what is right around my pelvis area and my lower abdominal organs, what is on the other side? My low back. And so if I have a lot of inflammation going on in the gut, it's going to root through to the other side and cause inflammation here. So even just getting your bowels moving really well and focusing on your gut and doing like belly button therapy, that's going to relieve a lot of low back issues. And then with the sciatica, you can get a clapper, you can start clapping, you can do the belly button therapy to help relieve that. And then if you had somebody who's doing non-surgical, we're going to do non-surgical on your low back. And then we're actually going to come into that ischial tuberosity, that butt cheek bone, and we're going to work all around the obturator foramen, come into that sciatic nerve area and relieve that nerve. Because the sciatic nerve kind of comes through the port, like I was saying, you get grizzle, like that crystallization build up all around the port. And as I go to bend, move, stretch, that sciatic nerve doesn't move freely anymore. It actually gets hooked and it's getting yanked on, and that's when you can start to feel the pain coming down the thigh. So I recommend, if you're just doing stuff at home for yourself, go to like If you're a little bit more sensitive, start with like a tennis ball or like a larger, maybe like softball. But then if you want to work your way up to it, a lacrosse ball, what they use for lacrosse, playing lacrosse, they call it Indian rubber balls. And so they're about this big. You want to get one of those balls and you're actually going to sit on it on the ground and you're going to slowly sit and rotate over that ischial tuberosity. Even if I sit on the edge of a chair and I kind of grind back and forth, you can kind of feel some tough tissue on that butt cheekbone. So you really check that out. And so if you, like the girl came in with sciatica today, I did one treatment. She's been struggling for a year and a half. She hops up and she was like, wow, my legs just feel free. It's open. And so you can get crazy results in one treatment of non-surgical. But where is your beliefs? You know what? People are constantly like, they believe in themselves, and that's great. But you know what? The belief isn't like, you need to be unbelievable all the time. You need to try to focus that, you know what? I believe it. Sure, that's great. No, I want to create the unbelievable. How is this real? How did you know that like these small ailments, these small things, and you know what? They're not small. I know that they're an issue to you. But if you're just looking at the one symptom in the body, that is technically to me a small ailment, because that's not it. That was the straw that broke the camel's back. You got a shoulder issue, you got a neck issue, you got a hip issue. Your body kind of zigzags all the way down. And so the reason why you're just noticing that one issue in that general area is because it is your weakest link. So it's like you have a crying baby and a whining one. I'm not going to hear the whining one until the crying one shuts up. And so you deal with the problem. Like, I opened up her low back, her sciatica went away today. And then she was like, oh, I feel like my neck is tight now. And I was like, no, your neck has probably always been tight. It's just, it wasn't your prominent pain. So it wasn't on that surface level for like what's kind of going on with me. So I just kind of wanted to hop on, answer some questions that anybody has on like non-surgical, if you have any specific ailments, yeah, just shoot me some questions, guys, if you have. This is so awesome that you're talking about. It's an issue I've had for years. Well, Denise, it's not something you need to struggle with anymore. Such simple techniques. No one ever suggested me to this. Yeah, no problem at all. As well as doing like a little bit of yoga stretching is like super great. Get in there, and YouTube has everything for us. And I don't like how people feel like they're so limited. Today, we're the farthest thing away from being limited. There is so much out there for us to learn. People have made these mistakes. People have made these successes. So why are we not looking elsewhere? And so, okay, I have a hip issue. I'm going to go search online, and I'm going to go onto YouTube, and I don't have really good mobility. I'm going to search really nice, gentle, easy hip stretches and mobility for the hip. There's going to be athletes and trainers and all these people online who are out there to teach you how to just lightly stretch, how to get back into your body. If I'm not focused on what is going on in my body at all times, I'm not going to realize all these ailments that are slowly building up until they become a chronic issue. So I'm 26 years old. And you know what? There's things that I do when I go to the gym. I go to yoga. I try to go to yoga at least twice, 3 times a month. That doesn't seem like a lot, but I stretch every day at the gym. But when I have time for myself, you got to make time for yourself. And so I'll go to yoga here and there and I'll stretch, but I'll stretch every day before the gym. I never stretch at the end of a workout. You got to let your muscles calm down through a cooling period for at least 30 to 60 minutes because I pumped my body up. And so things like that, just be mindful. Search online, message me, ask questions, and always get a second opinion. If somebody told me one thing, I'm going to do my own homework because don't trust me, trust yourself. So what advice do you think you're getting out there fulfills you, makes you feel like, yo, this is very comfortable. I feel like I can work in this direction. Continue with that. I just have a couple questions on here. You've been trying to see Dr. Wolfe. You keep missing phone calls. Can you see me? I know Dr. Wolfe is very busy. Yes, indeed, he is. I just have a question, Esther. Are you in the Florida area right now, or are you just trying to get a consult? If you want, you can text me or give me a call at 250-801-5673. After I'm done on this live, I actually have to run out because we have a lecture tonight in Stuart, Florida. But after that, like, if you want to try to give me a text and I can send you a time that I can give you a call, maybe tomorrow, and we can work something out. Dr. Sage, can sciatica cause pain in the front in my pelvic groin area? It feels like I have a pulled tendon almost every day. Okay, so Robert, it could be, depending on what you did. So do you think, is it something that just started for you and you're like, oh, I was out working in the yard and now I'm getting a pain in my pelvis? Sure, you could have maybe damaged either like your hip flexor or psoas a little bit. But if it's something that's slowly been progressing, I'm going to say it's your bowels, my friends. So we'd want to really make sure that, like, go online and check out like some daily cleansing tea. It's one of our most inexpensive products, but it's probably one of my favorite products because it is so, like, it's so simple. It's just a combination of a few herbs. It's like milk thistle, blessed thistle, permission leaves, malva leaves, and marshmallow leaves. And then we infuse it with over like 2,200 frequencies. But it starts with the large intestine. It goes throughout every other bodily organ, and it even goes into the blood and the lymph. But it helps eliminate waste constantly, because if you have too much waste in this lower abdominal organ area, my friend, it's going to cause putrefaction. That putrefaction will cause inflammation, and that inflammation is going to start to pull on things. So you're going to start to feel a little bit of yanking. I would recommend looking into belly button therapy on our website as well, because we have a bunch of videos on belly button therapy, and that helps open up adhesions all around the abdomen. And it's pretty loving because you do what you can tolerate. And so it opens up the adhesions. It increases your body's core temperature by 2 degrees, so it helps kill infection. It releases the Kundalini energy in the body, and it gives about 20% more flexibility within our actual whole body, which is very weird, but our core is everything. So if I open up the adhesions here, I'm actually going to have more mobility within my spine. I'm going to have more tension released in my shoulders. My low back is going to feel more open. And so that's kind of what I would recommend, my friend. Let's see what else. You live in California. Okay, yes, please send me a text, Esther, and we will contact each other, and maybe we can work something out. The tea is awesome. I have my mom on it in Oz. In ounces, did only one Wolfe Non-Surgical session on her abdomen, and she is golden. That sounds beautiful, see? And, okay, I know you did one, and she's golden. I don't care that their issues are gone. I want you to do it again. Because if somebody comes in and they're like, okay, this is a chronic issue, I tell them, okay, 5 to 6 treatments. We're going to do 5 to 6 treatments on that shoulder. If about the 3rd treatment, they're like, my issue's gone and it feels great. I'm going to tell them to come back in 2 more times, maybe even 3, depending on what I feel as the practitioner, because it's muscle memory. That is going to be a weak link for the rest of your life. It's why it is. And so you're going to want to go in multiple times to reverse that muscle memory. And so if you can't, and now that you traveled back to Canada, just make sure that she is on top of the belly button therapy and that she's really just making sure that those bowels are moving well. And if so, I highly doubt the ailment will come back, but majority of people out there fall back on their old ways. And so it's like, yeah, I had the issue and then it went away and then it came back and then it went away. And it's this back and forth, because I'm trying to raise my frequency. And the world is meant to bring us down, guys. And so don't let it. Don't allow your family and friends to kind of come into your vibration and drop you down. If the people are around you not benefiting your life, why are you staying? And so it's about going in, changing that muscle memory over, changing how you feel over, and not allowing that frequency to drop, to go back to those old ways. Tesla, my phone. My phone is on his answering machine. Lisa, I will tell Andreas, I will try to give him a text when we are done here, and I will let him know to check his answering machine. Thank you. All right. Does anybody else have any wonderful questions? Because I'm going to try to hop on here every about maybe every 3 to 4 days just to do a non-surgical Q&A for you guys. Anytime I have, I would love to do this. You guys are great. I love teaching you guys. I love learning from you and what's kind of going on with you. And other than that, we're probably going to be going live tonight at the lecture, so be keen to check in on us later on. I also take the critical care mushrooms along with many other products, just improved my health by bounds. And Denise, like, it is literally just the beginning. Once you start doing this stuff, you don't realize that, like, I did, for me, 26, I did about, once I was legal to go out and drink, my family always really pushed the health stuff for me. Even when I was like 14 and like I was able to go hang out with friends, I started being really bad for my body and eating McDonald's and going out and having crappy foods because I was like, oh, I never got to eat that stuff. I realized very quickly my energy level shot. I started to get eczema, a little bit of psoriasis. My bowels would be really itchy. My rectum would be a little itchy. My bowels would be off. So constant things, like, it doesn't matter. Our world has a lot of toxic stuff out there. So if I've been toxic for majority of my lifetime, I tell people it takes 9 months to birth a baby. It will take 9 months to birth a new you. And that's if you're in decent condition. If you're in bad condition, why not go hard for 2 to 3 years? You did 20 to 30 years of bad, 2 to 3 of good sounds pretty fair to me. And so it's being mindful about what we've done, keeping our vibration up, spreading the love, but holding that line and not taking shit from nobody because people will try to bring you down. So guys, I gotta run. I really appreciate you hopping on for this short 20-minute one a day. I will try to answer some of the comments that I'm getting now, and if there's some really great questions, I might just put them to the next live I do so we can go into that next time. Thank you all for joining. I hope you all have just the most magical day ever. Until tomorrow. Bye for now.